South Africa is now witnessing its worst ever violence in years, leaving more than 70 people dead. Durban, Pietermaritzburg and Johannesburg are among the worst affected areas, all of which have now sizable population of Indian expats. Reports suggest that rioters are attacking businesses owned by Indians and Indian origin South Africans. All this after former South African President Jacob Zuma was sentenced to 15 months in prison in connection with allegations of corruption. Now, concerned over the civil unrest here, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar called in on South African counterpart Dr. Naledi Pandor on Wednesday. In fact, the South African Foreign Ministry has stressed that the ongoing events are criminal in nature and not politically or racially motivated there. Now, it's quite shocking that Indian origin people, of course, among the other South Africans who are being targeted, Indian origin people are particularly being targeted. Those businesses owned by Indians are now becoming victims to this kind of unrest that's now prevailing in South Africa.
These are the ruins that we're currently facing, where the people have vandalized and done their looting from here, burnt the shops. This is something that we're going through now with the cleanup. We have a lot of people that are trying to clean up and to get the things sorted for now.
Meanwhile, more trouble for organizers of the Tokyo Olympics 2020. 6 days before the Games open, first case of COVID-19 has been detected in Tokyo Olympic Village. Tokyo 2020 CEO Toshiro Muto confirmed that a visitor from abroad who was involved in organizing the Games has now tested positive. However, he didn't reveal the name or the nationality or any other detail about him, citing privacy concerns. The person has now been removed from the village where thousands of athletes and officials will, in fact, reside during the Games. Olympics will take place without spectators this time in Tokyo as coronavirus forced Japan to declare a state of emergency in the capital. Earlier on Thursday, International Olympic Committee there, the president, Thomas Bach, has said that there was zero risk of Games participants infecting Japanese residents with COVID-19. Tokyo is under a state of emergency for the duration of the event, and organizers have imposed strict testing and limits on the delegates and their activities, only to try and soothe all those concerns of those Japanese public who are currently worried. Now, amid the threat of a third wave, Sabrimala temple has been opened up for monthly puja until the 21st of July. Devotees there will have to adhere to COVID protocols like maintaining social distancing and wearing of masks. Only 5,000 people have been allowed into the shrine every day. That is a sizable number. Let's take a quick look at this report from on ground.
Amid the threat of a possible third wave, when religious congregations are under scrutiny, Kerala government opens the gate of Sabrimala shrine for devotees. This comes at a time when COVID cases are on the surge once again in Kerala. The state continues to record highest spike in daily cases in the country. Lodayappa temple will be open for its monthly rituals from July 17th to 21st. To avoid crowding, only 5,000 devotees will be allowed each day through virtual queue system.
2 ഡോസ് വാക്സിനേഷൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 72 മണിക്കൂറിനുള്ളിൽ എടുത്ത RT-PCR നെഗറ്റീവ് സർട്ടിഫിക്കറ്റ് ഉള്ള ആളുകളെയാണ് ഇത്തവണ ശബരിമലയിൽ മാസപൂജയ്ക്ക് പ്രവേശിക്കാൻ അനുവദിക്കുക.
Officials have already been instructed to enforce appropriate behavior in temple, including the use of masks, sanitizers, and proper social distancing. Testing camps have also been set up at Nilakal Base Camp.
यहाँ पर फैसिलिटी तो जैसे पहले था वैसे ही है, लेकिन आदमी कम होने की वजह से जो दुकान वगैरह है कम खुला है, एक आधा दुकान है, फिर भी जो सफिशिएंट मात्रा में यहाँ पर जो आने वाला भक्तजन है उनके लिए सफिशिएंट मात्रा में सारे चीज़ की सुविधा किया गया है.
The Sabarimala will open for the people, those who are fasting for 41 days or 15 days. By luck, with the God grace, is open.
Despite all the regulations in place, if the congregation proves to be a super spreader, who will be held accountable for it? Will the Pinarayi Vijayan government take the onus of endangering millions of lives?
According to the Travancore Devasam Board, they have allowed up to 5,000 devotees to come and offer prayers in the temple. But what we have been given to understand is that the virtual queue registration hasn't reached that point, because not even on any of the days that there is a full booking that has happened, and also there are possibility that many of these people or devotees may not even turn up at this particular place. With camera person Tinku Rajshekharan, Gopi Krishnan in Sabarimala for India Today.
Now, even as cases dip in India, a top ICMR scientist has sounded an alarm over potential third COVID wave. Dr. Samiran Panda has warned the country now that it could witness a third wave, which could lead to over 1 lakh cases per day. Let's take a listen at this detailed report.
These scenes will forever haunt us.
जो भी बोल रहा है कि ऑक्सीजन अवेलेबल है, सब झूठ बोल रहे हैं. There is total chaos.
India faced one of its worst health crises. People gasped for breath. Crematoriums and graveyards ran out of land. And just when people were getting back on their feet, the third COVID wave is likely to hit us in weeks from now. Top ICMR scientist Dr. Samiran Panda has warned that the onset of the third wave could begin as early as August.
There is a possibility of third wave if it happens early. The earliest time when it could happen is August and near end August, I would say. And then the wave of it, the peak of it, would not be as high as India witnessed during the second wave.
He also said that 1 lakh daily cases could be recorded during the next surge.
Somewhere between 1 and 2 lakh, per day. So that's if everything else remains, same as we are facing now. But if there is a new variant which is capable of escaping the immunity and at the same time has the ability to get transmitted very fast, that particular variant might even have a wave which would be equal in height in terms of the second wave or even bigger.
The slow rate of vaccination and ease of restrictions could lead to this surge. However, the government is confident that 50 crore doses will be administered before August, and that may help in preventing the third wave from wreaking havoc.
यहाँ भी दिखाया गया है कि जुलाई तक 50 करोड़ या उससे ऊपर की डोजेस हमारे पास उपलब्ध का विजिबिलिटी थी और वो लगभग उसी तरीके से चला हुआ है.
However, there's a rise in COVID cases, which is a big cause of worry, and the next 100 to 125 days are critical. Prime Minister Modi too urged chief ministers of 6 worst-hit states on Friday to take proactive measures to keep a check and control the rise in the number of cases.
देश के अधिकांश राज्यों में केसेस की संख्या जिस तरह कम हुई थी, विशेषज्ञ इस डाउनवर्ड ट्रेंड को देखकर उम्मीद भी कर रहे थे कि जल्द ही देश दूसरी लहर से पूरी तरह बाहर आ जाएगा. लेकिन कुछ राज्यों में केसेस की बढ़ती हुई संख्या अभी भी चिंताजनक बनी हुई है.
So how can we prevent the third wave from turning lethal? Go get vaccinated, Keep wearing your mask and maintain social distancing and avoid crowds. And only leave your house when it is absolutely essential. Together we can, and together we will beat COVID.
ICMR's own study shows that amongst its volunteers, 86% of the breakthrough infections, which means infections after getting 2 full doses of the vaccine, was caused by the Delta variant. Lesser number of people after getting vaccinated and infected by COVID-19, especially the Delta variant, are landing up in hospital, and the number of deaths has also come down. Hence, the severity of the third wave is not going to be as much as the second wave, is what the prediction is. In New Delhi, Sneha Moldani for India Today.
Now, Punjab power play continues. Both Captain and Sidhu held meetings individually. Chief Minister Amrinder Singh held a meeting with Punjab Congress in charge Harish Rawat in Chandigarh. Both leaders likely to have discussed reshuffle in the organisation as well as in the cabinet. In fact, the meeting assumes significance as it comes just days after Rawat indicated that Sidhu could be made PCC chief. A decision that's said to be, that's said to have irked Captain Amrinder Singh. Meanwhile, Harish Rawat has said Amrinder will accept whatever the party high command decides. Captain, however, writes a letter to Sonia Gandhi meanwhile, warning her that any interference might damage the party's prospects in the state. Meanwhile, it looks like Sidhu is now lobbying for himself. Since morning, he has been meeting MLAs, ministers individually. Sidhu's first stop was Punjab Congress President Sunil Chakar, after which he has been meeting with MLAs. Sources also tell India Today that even now, he is meeting several leaders at his home in Patiala.
कैप्टन अमरिंदर सिंह जी ने जो पहले एक महान बयान दिया था जिसमें उन्होंने कहा था whatever decision will be taken by the Congress President, by the CP, that will be honored by me. I will abide by that. So he reiterated that statement today also.
Let's cut across to Manjeet Sehgal reporting live from Chandigarh. Manjeet, over to you. We're looking at Navjot Singh Sidhu. Even as Rahul Gandhi, we believe, has said whoever is unhappy are free to leave. Amid that statement, Sidhu is now lobbying hectically with some of the ministers and MLAs. He's, even as we speak, meeting with some party members in his house right now.
Well, Nabila, Navjot Singh Sidhu came from Patiala, first met the present Punjab Congress Committee Chief Sunil Chakar, and later even spoke to the media saying that the meeting was very fruitful and he was getting the blessings from the present Congress President. Then he went to some of the disgruntled cabinet ministers, including Jails Minister Sukhjinder Singh Randhawa, then met the Health Minister Balbir Sidhu and Lal Singh, besides others, including Pangad. So Navjot Singh Sidhu at one hand is trying to establish his connect with the senior Congress leaders. He also met Pratap Singh Bajwa. On the other, the meeting between Captain Amrinder Singh and Harish Rawat is being viewed as an attempt to placate Chief Minister Captain Amrinder Singh, who is opposed to Navjot Singh Sidhu's elevation as Punjab Congress Committee Chief. Captain Amrinder Singh has also confirmed by tweeting, saying that the decision of the party high command will be final and will be acceptable to him. But he has also given some suggestions. Now, he has not mentioned what suggestions he gave, but sources telling us that he has suggested not to ignore the people from other communities like the Hindus and Dalits, as they form a significant part of
Absolutely,
the
and it's about time that the Congress looks at interests of other social interest groups as well, and not just trying to satisfy dissent in the meanwhile. Thank you very much, Manjeet, for joining us with those details. Now, let me take you through what's happening in Karnataka. A fresh development has surfaced after meeting of Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa with Prime Minister Modi. According to sources, negotiations are still on terms of BSY's resignation. BSY has also assured Prime Minister that he is ready to follow all directions of the Prime Minister and even step down if the Prime Minister asked him to. B.S. Yediyurappa also met with Party Chief J.P. Nadda, Defence Minister Rajnath Singh while heading to the airport. He got a call, returned back to meet with Amit Shah. Yediyurappa has also assured the BJP top brass that he will be committed to the BJP's ideology. Sources have now revealed that B.S. Yediyurappa's primary condition here for resignation is to include his sons in a central role. The BJP top brass is likely to begin the hunt for the next Karnataka Chief Minister soon. B.L. Santosh, Prahlad Joshi are being seen now as contenders, top contenders. However, sources close to Yediyurappa have said that Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa will not resign before completing 2 years in office. Inclusion of Shobha Karanlaje in the Union Council of Ministers is now part of the plan for Karnataka, and the changes there and the post-Chief Minister change, rejig, is also now on the cards.
Yesterday I met Prime Minister, we discussed in detail about the development of the state, and again I will come back to Delhi on first week of next month and I will discuss in detail. These are all things, there is no value for that news.
So as of now you have not resigned, sir?
Not at all, not at all, not at all.
Now, meanwhile, NCP Supremo Sharad Pawar has put the cat among pigeons after he met with Prime Minister Modi in Delhi this morning. The 1-hour-long meeting between Pawar and the Prime Minister comes at a time when central agencies have been probing corruption charges against several Aghadi leaders. Denying rumours of a political meet, the NCP chief has said that he had sought time with Prime Minister regarding cooperative banks, which are now being monitored by the RBI. Pawar has also written a letter to the Prime Minister flagging concerns on the Ministry of Corporation. Now, he said that the cooperative bank sector, the banking sector, is a state subject, citing Supreme Court judgments. He said that any attempt of interference by the centre will be a breach of constitution. This comes as the Parliament cleared banking regulation rules last year. Pawar requested the Prime Minister that existence of cooperative banks and their cooperative character should be protected.
उस बैठक में जो एक लिखित मांग थी सरकार के पास, खास करके कोऑपरेटिव बैंक को लेकर जो बैंक रेगुलेटरी एक्ट में केंद्र सरकार ने बदलाव किए, जिसके कारण बैंकों के जो कोऑपरेटिव बैंक्स है उनके अधिकार कहीं ना कहीं मर्यादित कर आरबीआई को ज़्यादा उसमें अधिकार दिए गए। इसको लेके प्रधानमंत्री जी से बहुत पहले टेलीफोन पर पवार साहब ने चर्चा की थी। उन्होंने कहा था कि बैठ के इस पर चर्चा करेंगे।